Han Ling turned to look at him, vigilant. He said, "Senior, what can I do for you?" She only respected Laozi in name. Laozi said, "I see that your providence is extraordinary. You will definitely rule the chaos in the future. The world that you want to create will be your Tao. What world you choose is extremely important for your future path. Don't take the wrong path. Thank you for your guidance, Senior." Hanju moved Han Ling back to the Tao field after she left the domain where the 3,000 great Tao were. Laozi muttered as he looked in the direction she left, "The divine might heavenly sage is really impressive. His bloodline inheritance is unprecedented. Could it be that he has grasped some kind of rule?" In the third Tao field. "What right does he have to teach me? Is his world very good? I don't think he made a name for himself. In the past, he didn't dare to offend the Tao ancestor in the heavenly Tao. Later, he couldn't protect the three pure sacred world. How ridiculous," Han Ling said indignantly. Her cultivation level was similar to Laozi's, but she was treated as a junior. Hanju smiled. Other than the difference in essence, there's actually not much of a difference between great Tao worlds. He just feels that if you govern the great Tao world with benevolence, the path you take will naturally be great. If you rear the living beings of the great Tao world and act recklessly, you will also do things without any worries. Han Ling curled his lips. Hanju changed the topic and asked her how the trip went. Han Ling immediately became happy and said that she had already absorbed the power of the rules of the 3,000 Great Tao and could create a new 3,000 Great Tao in her Great Tao world. The Great Tao was unique in the chaos. There were no same Great Tao, but there was no such restriction across the Great Tao world. Several hours later, the father and daughter entered cultivation. The cultivation years in the Tao field were extremely calm, but the chaos surged. As more and more great Tao sages appeared, the accumulated conflicts began to erupt. The Life faction began to bare its fangs. Huang Zuntian sent dozens of great Tao sages to use the domain of life as the center and began to devour the surrounding chaotic domains. The Northern Chaos Holy Lord used the Tao of the Emperor and began to attack the various domains, his might overflowing. Formless World, Great Heavenly God King, Universe Sage King, Zhou Song's Great Tao Heaven, Evil Heavenly Emperor, Zhou Fan, Pango, and the others also began to fight for supremacy. They weren't the only ones. Even the Great Tao Divine Spirits were involved. The ultimate god of punishment did not stop them. It was obvious that he tacitly agreed. The leader of the Divine Spirits tacitly agreed, so the chaos was naturally in chaos. This battle shook the world and alarmed most of the chaos. Even Hanju and Han Ling in the Tao field were alarmed. Hanju only took a look and then went back to cultivating. Han Ling watched with relish. It was mainly because seeing Laozi being taught a lesson made her inexplicably happy. On. This battle lasted for several days. In the end, the two sides fought to a draw. Li Daogong's name spread throughout the chaos, and he was conferred the title of Sword Venerable. The power of the Life faction reached an unprecedented level as Li Daogong's reputation spread. The Life Lord, who was one of the 10 Absolutes, and the unparalleled Sword Venerable were two giants that shook the world and presided over it. All the factions targeted by the Life faction fled or directly surrendered. More and more major factions began to fight for territory, startling many mighty figures who were still in seclusion. They didn't understand what had happened and why the sky had suddenly changed. They carefully deduced and discovered that all this chaos was caused by an existence. Primordial Fiend Celestial. It was unknown who had spread the news that the great Tao immeasurable calamity was about to arrive. The strongest Providence could transform into a primordial fiend celestial and create the primordial chaos in the chaos. It could surpass the chaos and obtain an unprecedented supreme status. At first, the mighty figures felt that it was just a rumor. But later they went to the 7 supreme rules and deduced them. They discovered that the rumors about the primordial fiend Celestial were true. Whoever had the strongest Providence would be enlightened by the 7 supreme rules and advanced to a primordial fiend Celestial when the great Tao immeasurable calamity arrived. For a time, the entire chaos went mad. The higher one's cultivation level was, the crazier it became. In the blink of an eye, another 5 million years passed. Hanju opened his eyes and looked happy. He finally saw a possibility of breaking through. He was only close to breaking through a minor realm after 20 million years. The Tao Creator realm was deep and difficult to break through. The addition of 10,000 nether race members was very useful for the advancement of the ultimate origin world. They had always stayed in the 100 Peak Immortal River, so they were extremely proficient in teaching and preaching. Therefore, they preached everywhere in the ultimate origin world and were already known as the divine race. Hanling asked when she saw that he opened his eyes, "Father, is that Li Daokong really from our hidden sect? Can you tell me about him?" Clearly, the battle between Li Daokong and Laozi millions of years ago had stunned her. She had always thought that she could dominate the same realm by relying on the Emperor's soldiers. Now, she discovered that the other mighty figures also had impressive methods. Her Emperor's soldiers only had dermic powers, but they did not have mystical powers or the power of the Great Tao. Of course, she still felt that she could defeat Li Daokong, and it was not difficult. It was just that she had other plans. Hanju smiled and recounted Li Daokong's past. Hanling listened carefully. After Hanju finished speaking, Hanling suddenly sighed. It's really not difficult to dominate the chaos with the Hidden Sect's foundation. It's just that Father likes to cultivate and doesn't like to fight for hegemony. Otherwise, the chaos would have long been surnamed Han. Hanju asked, "Is Linger ambitious?" She was born to be an emperor. As Hanling's cultivation level reached the peak of the chaos and it was very difficult for her cultivation level to advance, her ambitions naturally began to grow. Hanling hurriedly shook her head. "No, I'm just curious. The chaos is extremely lively now. From time to time, Great Tao sages and even Great Tao supremes fight." Hanju smiled and didn't expose her. The chaos was indeed lively. There must be a trap behind this, but Hanju didn't care. The endless era was what all the Tao creators wanted to see. He naturally would not stop it. There are still 2 more creation heavens chosen attempts. Should I use them to add some fuel to the great Tao immeasurable calamity? Hanju thought silently. He discovered that Hanling was a little arrogant and did not think highly of the living beings in the chaos. This was not good. He should give her some pressure by using the creation heavens chosen. Activating the creation heavens chosen. A random great creation will appear among your descendants. Your son Han Huang has awakened an innate great creation ultimate rage tyrant star. Ultimate rage tyrant star, innate great creation. It contains the pity of the ultimate origin transcendent rule. He can borrow the power of the ultimate origin transcendent rule. The angrier he is, the stronger the power of the transcendent rule he borrows. Hanju was stunned. Han Huang. Isn't this great creation the same as borrowing his father's power? The ultimate rage tyrant star could borrow the power of the ultimate origin world. The power of the ultimate origin world was Hanju's power. He didn't think too much about it. The ultimate origin power in his body was endless. How could Han Huang use it all? A trace of the Tao creator's power was enough to crush the entire chaos. It had to be said that Han Huang was really lucky. Hanju thought. There was one last creation heavens chosen attempt left. He might as well use it together. It would be interesting if the chosen one was still Han Huang. Activating the creation heavens chosen. A random great creation will appear among your descendants. Your descendant, Qin Ba Hen, has awakened an innate great creation ultimate gravity star. Ultimate Gravity Star, Innate Strength and Gravity Tao. It contains extreme power. As the ultimate origin world expands, its power will constantly increase. Not bad. But why was his surname not Han? Hanju began to deduce. It turned out that the difference between Qin Bahen and Han Yunjin was tens of thousands of generations. More than 10 generations of his ancestors had fallen into the mortal world. His mother's surname was Han and she married into the Qin family because of the destruction of her family. The Qin family was the imperial family of the mortal world. Qin Bahen was a prince born with endless strength, but he was mentally deficient. He was like a 5 or 6-year-old child and could not even speak clearly. He was usually used as a tool for battle and did not receive the treatment of a prince. The first half of his life could be said to be rough. At this moment, Qin Bahen awakened the great creation and his mind began to clear. The green mountains were continuous. An army was stationed in the mountainside. Beside the territory where the captives were imprisoned, a burly man leaned against the guardrail. He was dirty and his hair was mixed with soil. Beside him was a stable filled with the stench of feces. Qin Bahen. He slowly opened his eyes. The memories of the first 20 years of his life surged like a tide. He, who had recovered his mind, recalled those memories and felt bitter. He had contributed to the empire, but he couldn't even attend the court because of his lack of intelligence. He accidentally bumped into a concubine and was chased out of the palace by his father and was raised in the army when he was 7 years old. The army was filled with boorish men and no one took care of him. Therefore, his entire body emitted a stench since he was young. As he grew up and killed countless enemies, the stench became killing intent. The heavens are righteous. I didn't expect that I would wake up one day in my life. Hanju stared at him silently. The Han family's descendants actually ended up in such a miserable state. If not for the creation heavens chosen this time, Qin Bahen would probably live a life worse than pigs and dogs until he died on the battlefield. Qin Bahen might be placed in an important position if it was a chaotic world. However, the empire he was in was powerful. The surrounding dynasties would cause trouble at most and could not affect the empire. In this situation, Qin Bahen was not very useful. The empire would still exist even if he died. Hanju looked at Han Ling and said, I discovered that the Han family has an impressive descendant. Han Ling opened her eyes and deduced. Soon, she found Qin Bahen. Unlike the Conquest Heavenly Star and the Ultimate Killing Star, which needed to grow, the Ultimate Gravity Star was based on the Ultimate Killing Star, which was already very powerful. Han Ling frowned. A descendant of the Han family was actually humiliated like this. Father, what do you plan to do? Hanju said, there are all sorts of things in the world. Our Han family has countless descendants. Some people are worse off than him. Do you want to save and help them all? Han Ling curled her lips and thought to herself, then why are you asking me? Hanju smiled and said, let's wait and see. You can save him when he's in despair. Save him for what? You don't want to take him in? Huh? Han Ling was stunned for a moment before understanding. Han Ling felt a little uneasy at her father's gaze, as if she had been exposed. Hanju said meaningfully, Han Yao, Han Yi, and Qin Bahen. This is the path I can pave for you. You have to rely on yourself whatever you want to do in the future. Han Ling couldn't pretend anymore. She indeed had ambitions, especially after witnessing the battle between the overlords of the chaos all these years. Han Ling nodded. Father, I understand. Hanju closed his eyes and started cultivating. Han Ling stared at Qin Bahen, waiting for an opportunity. Qin Bahen wanted to enter the palace upon arriving at the imperial city, but he was stopped. In his anger, he forcefully barged in and attracted the attention of the guards. Soon, the matter alerted the emperor. The emperor was furious. He used his identity as his father to force Qin Bahen to stop. The emperor was very shocked by Qin Bashan's awakening. However, Qin Bashan's mother was already dead. He was afraid that Qin Bahen would go mad, so he deliberately changed the topic. However, Qin Bahen was unwilling and finally asked the truth. Qin Bahen went mad when he learned that his mother had been killed by the empress. He started a massacre in the palace and swore to kill the empress. The emperor was furious and had no choice but to invite the immortal sect to suppress him. Qin Bashan's bravery was no longer something that a mortal army could stop. Qin Bahen was still unstoppable as he faced the cultivators. He fought until the sky turned red. The empress was from a cultivation family. Her disciples protected her with all their might. Things were getting out of hand. In the end, more than one Mahayana cultivator was alerted and they used a spell to suppress Qin Bahen. Qin Bahen was tied up by a golden rope in the ruins of the palace. His body was covered in talismans and his legs were wrapped in tree roots. Thorns pierced through his flesh and blood splattered all over the ground. Qin Bashan's eyes were red and his face was covered in blood. He stared at the dozen cultivators in the sky. The surrounding soldiers raised their weapons and trembled in fear. A white-robed elder said, "Your Majesty, this child is sinful. It's better to kill him." The other Mahayana cultivators also said that they had to kill Qin Bahen. Apart from the imperial palace suffering heavy losses, even their sects were the same. The emperor was furious. He wanted to agree, but his heart ached inexplicably when he saw Qin Bashan's miserable state. He indeed owed this son a lot. However, it was no longer his decision at this point. The Qin family's empire relied on these sects to survive. Qin Bahen said angrily, "Kill me. I want revenge even if I turn into a ghost. I must kill the empress. I will never rest." The white-robed elder snorted. "Ghost? I'll extract your soul and make sure you can't reincarnate. You'll be in pain forever." He raised his hand and prepared to cast a spell. Boom! The sky suddenly changed. Thunder clouds gathered and a terrifying heavenly might descended. Such a change moved everyone. They looked up. The group of Mahayana cultivators was also shocked. This was definitely not a normal phenomenon. Uptodate DFRM no VELB INCOM. Ha ha ha, it seems that even the heavens can't stand it anymore. Qin Bahen laughed wantonly, but his laughter was filled with hatred. The expressions of the Mahayana cultivators changed, but they were not afraid. They had lived for thousands of years and had experienced all sorts of storms. How could they let Qin Bahen go? The white-robed elder was the first to attack. He took out a flying sword from his sleeve, intent on beheading Qin Bahen. Boom! A bolt of lightning descended from the sky and shattered the flying sword. Following that, it shattered all the restrictions on Qin Bashan's body, causing the talismans to turn into dust. Qin Bahen was stunned. The Mahayana cultivators were stunned. The palace was the same. A cold female voice resounded through the world. "Mere mortals dare to humiliate our Han family's bloodline? Believe it or not, even immortals won't dare to stop me from destroying this mortal world." Han Ling's voice was extremely domineering. The anger contained in it caused the temperature of the world to suddenly decrease. Everyone was shocked. How arrogant! The Mahayana cultivators were all shocked. The other party brought the heavenly might and was not something they could defeat. However, Han family? The white-robed elder looked at the emperor and discovered that he was shocked. "Junior, take revenge. Whoever tries to stop you will be destroyed in body and soul. After taking revenge, follow me to the upper world to cultivate and transcend your mortal body." Han Ling's voice sounded, causing a ferocious glint to appear in Qin Bashan's eyes. He stood up trembling and walked towards the Empress. Surrounded by a group of cultivators, the Empress was so frightened that her face turned pale. She collapsed to the ground. She screamed in fear and asked for help upon seeing Qin Bahan walking towards her. The cultivators guarding her were scared out of their wits. How could they dare to fight? Han Ling's appearance made them think that the immortals were furious. They all fled in fear. The Mahayana cultivators looked at the white-robed elder. His expression was dark. He didn't say a word, but he did not give any more orders. Clearly, he wanted to preserve his lineage. Qin Bahan brushed past the emperor. The emperor hurriedly turned around and said with a trembling voice, "Son, stop." Qin Bahan ignored him and quickly approached the empress. He punched down. How could the weak empress withstand a punch from him? She died on the spot, blood splattering all over the ground. Qin Bahan turned to look at the cultivators in the sky and shouted angrily, "Ancestor of the Han family, can you kill them for me?" "You!" The white-robed elder was shocked and furious. He had already tacitly agreed to Qin Bashan's revenge, but he did not show them any mercy. "All right." Han Ling's voice sounded, causing the Mahayana cultivators to panic. The white-robed elder immediately shouted, "Kill this kid first." The Mahayana cultivators attacked one after another. All sorts of spells landed on Qin Bahan. Although he was powerful, he did not have dermic powers. In addition, he was severely injured and could not dodge. However, these spells vanished like smoke just as they were about to land on him. Screams descended from the sky as the Mahayana cultivators all fell in front of him. Qin Bahan grinned, extremely relieved. The emperor stared at this scene in a daze, extremely regretful. He suddenly recalled what concubine Han had said when he had thrown her into the cold palace. "Your Majesty, you covet the power of the Empress family. You will definitely regret it if our Han family finds our ancestor in the future." He was arrogant and did not take her seriously. Now that he thought about it, he felt extremely stupid. This stupidity would send the Qin family into eternal damnation. Third Dao Field. Qin Bahan had already changed into new clothes. His injuries had healed and the dirt on his body had disappeared. Although he was strong, he was handsome and was not as sinister and ferocious as before. Xing Hongxian, Qing Waner, and the disciples of the Dao Field surrounded Qin Bahan, making him uneasy. TSK, as expected of your descendant. He's really good looking. He's too many generations apart. Qin Bahan was extremely nervous and did not dare to speak as he faced the two ancestors. At this moment, Han Ling walked over and smiled. Mothers, don't make things difficult for him anymore. A few days ago, he was still acting like a child due to his mental deficiency. How can he withstand your teasing? Xing Hongxian and Qing Waner had been far from the heavenly Dao for a long time and could not deduce the situation there. After all, they were not great Dao Supremes. The two women were curious and began to ask about him. Han Ling did not hide anything and told them about Qin Bashan's past. The two women were indignant. Qin Bahan remained silent. It was unknown what he was thinking. Then, Han Ling brought him to the Taoist temple. Han Ling said, "This is my father, who is also the father of the Han family's ancestor. The Han family's ancestor is the heavenly Dao sage, Han Yunjin." Heavenly Dao sage? Qin Bahan was shocked. Although he did not understand what this meant, it sounded very grand. Han Ju didn't open his eyes. Han Ling began to introduce the rest of the family to Qin Bahan. Qin Bahan could help but ask after she finished speaking, since the Han family is so powerful, why did they let their descendants suffer? If I'm already like this, there must be other disciples of the Han family wandering outside. Han Ling frowned and said, "The Han family has countless descendants. The Han family has given you life and has no responsibility to protect you for your entire life. Among the mortals in the world, who doesn't have a prominent ancestor?" Qin Bahan asked, "Then why did you help me? Because of my talent? Your talent was also given to you by me. Otherwise, you would still be lacking in intelligence and would be miserable for life." It was Hanju who spoke. His voice was calm, but it carried an indescribable dignity, making Qin Bahan even more nervous than when facing Han Ling. He looked at Hanju and saw that the latter had quietly opened his eyes and was staring at him, scaring him so much that he lowered his head. Han Ling also looked at her father in surprise. Talent could be given? Hanju stared at Qin Bahan and said, "The Han family has countless disciples. You were chosen by me not because I like you. This is your fate. Facing my descendants, I chose them fairly. No matter who is chosen, it is their own opportunity. You don't have to worry, but recognize that I don't owe the Han family anything. If not for me, the Han family wouldn't even exist." Qin Bahan was silent. He understood that his words were indeed unreasonable after he calmed down. He looked up again and asked, "Ancestor, what do you need me to do?" Hanju said, "From now on, you will serve my daughter." Qin Bahan looked at Han Ling. Han Ling smiled and said, "Don't worry. You can cultivate here. I've cultivated for tens of millions of years since I was born. I've only gone out twice and have never encountered any danger." Qin Bahan nodded, shocked. Tens of millions of years? Then, Hanju closed his eyes and continued cultivating. Han Ling stood up and left with Qin Bahan. She built a Taoist temple at the side for him. To say something that might hurt your dignity, what happened to your mother still came from you being too weak. You can still repay your mother after she reincarnates as long as you're strong enough. The cycle of reincarnation is endless. I'll guarantee that she reincarnates. Qin Bahan was extremely excited upon hearing that his mother could reincarnate. Han Ling continued, "Your surname will be Han from today onwards." Qin Bahan nodded. "All right. I hate the Qin surname, anyway." At this point, he changed his name to Han Bahan and cultivated under Han Ling. To Hanju, this was a small matter. In the future, the chosen ones could also do this. He didn't have to nurture them personally. Of course, he still had to do it himself if the creation was extremely abnormal. In the blink of an eye. After millions of years, Hanju's age increased again. Detected that you are 60 million years old and your life has taken another step forward. You have the following choices. 1. Exit seclusion immediately and open the ultimate origin world in the chaos. You can obtain a great Tao fragment, a primordial fragment, and a creation spirit stone. 2. Cultivate in a low-profile manner and maintain your original intention. You can obtain a great Tao fragment, a primordial fragment, and a creation spirit stone. The two choices were the same. There was no difference. Hanju would treat it as a fixed gift from the system. He silently chose the second option. You chose to cultivate in a low-profile manner and obtained a great Tao fragment, a primordial fragment, and a creation spirit stone. Hanju looked at the neighboring Taoist temple's Han Bahan. This kid's cultivation had already reached freedom after 5 million years of cultivation. The spirit chi in the Tao field was richer than anywhere else in the entire chaos. In Hanju's opinion, the progress of Han Bashan's cultivation was still a little slow. Han Ling was usually busy cultivating and only taught him a total of 3 times. It seemed that this was not Han Bashan's fault. In the past, Hanju at least had the system to help. Hanju opened the emails. The recent emails were extremely chaotic. There were all sorts of attacks, and even hidden sect disciples attacked each other. Zhou Fan had fought Li Daokong and was severely injured. Han Tuo and Huang Zuntian had also fought and were both severely injured. Dao Sovereign and the other three had also recently returned to the chaos. Han Yi and Han Yao had fought more than once, and each time, both sides were severely injured. Han Zhu had no intention of mediating. These disciples had also graduated. Be it sparring or really fighting, he couldn't care less. Han Zhu's gaze landed on the chaos after reading the emails. It was precisely because of this that the various factions in the chaos fought even more chaotically, thinking that they were creating Providence for the chaos. Even the ultimate god of punishment thought so. Han Zhu suddenly had a bold thought. Should he curse the ninth chaos? The Book of Misfortune was already an ultimate Tao treasure. Who could it not curse? 100 quadrillion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Yes. What the hell? What a scumbag. That made sense. The chaotic consciousness and the formless transcendent deity wouldn't be in such a sorry state if the ninth chaos was really so kind. Will I be discovered if I use the Book of Misfortune to curse the ninth chaos? The ultimate Tao treasure is at the Tao creator level. The ninth chaos can't directly deduce the Book of Misfortune, but it can be inferred. Han Zhu thought of the Mystical Destiny book next. Use the Mystical Destiny book to change the understanding of all living beings and make them think that the Dark Forbidden Lord indeed existed, so he couldn't be Han Zhu before cursing the ninth chaos? That's it! Perfect! Han Zhu immediately shooed Han Ling out and asked her to teach Han Bahen for a few days. He would preach the Tao to him later. Then, he took out the Mystical Destiny book and started to use it. I want all living beings, including the ninth chaos, to think that the Dark Forbidden Lord indeed exists. It has nothing to do with me, Han Zhu. 1 decillion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? So much. The first time he used it, his lifespan was not even 1 decillion years. Now, he had 12 octodecillion years of lifespan. The lifespan deducted was basically nothing. Han Zhu chose to continue. The Mystical Destiny book emitted a divine light. The aura still made him palpitate. As expected of an ultimate supreme treasure. He would have waited until he was 160 million years old if he wanted to use it again. Han Zhu smiled and kept the Mystical Destiny book. Then, he changed it to the Book of Misfortune. It had been a long time since he had cursed someone. He was quite excited. Ninth chaos, are you ready? Han Zhu began to curse the ninth chaos. As an ultimate Tao treasure, the Book of Misfortune could already curse all existences. 5 days later, Han Zhu's lifespan began to decrease rapidly. He opened his attributes panel and stared at it. As expected of the ninth chaos, his lifespan decreased extremely quickly. 100 million years. A billion years. 10 billion years. 100 billion years. A trillion years. Han Zhu was immersed in the pleasure of the curse and couldn't extricate himself. As he cursed, he recalled the past. The enemies he had forgotten kept appearing in his mind. He really missed them. In the Taoist temple next door, Han Bahen felt uneasy. He was very nervous at the thought that Han Zhu was about to preach the Tao. When he first came, although he knew that Han Zhu was very strong, he didn't expect it to far exceed his imagination. Ever since Han Ling explained the realms and chaos to him, he knew that he had obtained a huge opportunity. Han Ling noticed his uneasiness and smiled. Don't be nervous. My father won't eat you. Turf. Han Bahen asked, Ancestor, can you tell me about the progenitor's past? Han Ling smiled and nodded, then told him what she knew. Han Bahen listened very seriously. Han Bahen worshipped Hanju, knowing that the primogenitor was also immortal in the past and had risen step by step from the mortal world to controlling the chaos. He suddenly felt that his encounter was nothing. Although his father did not treat him well, he at least raised him. As for his progenitor, he had been abandoned by his parents when he was young and had grown up alone. He had done everything by himself until he created the Han family. He suddenly felt that the progenitor had chosen him not because of his providence, but because he sympathized with him. Han Ling smiled and said after she finished speaking, "So you have to cultivate well. Don't let my father down. He gave you your talent before he decided you'd serve me." When Han Bashan's admiration for him reached an endless stream, Han Ju, who was in the Taoist temple next door, was still cursing the ninth chaos. His lifespan decreased extremely quickly. 100 quadrillion years. 110 quadrillion years. It exceeded the ninth chaos value already. Because of your curse, the ninth chaos Tao heart is in chaos. The rules of the great Tao world have fluctuated. Wasn't the great Tao world of the ninth chaos the chaos? Hanju looked up. The 3,000 great Tao above the chaos were fluctuating violently. Even the 7 supreme rules were trembling slightly. Who cares? Not enough. Hanju's eyes turned ruthless. He swore to curse the ninth chaos into something to prevent this fellow from attaining the Creator Lord realm too quickly. 500 quadrillion years. 1 quintillion years. Not enough. He stared at his attributes panel to prevent himself from cursing too much. In any case, he had already felt the opportunity to break through. He could make up for the origin lifespan he had lost as long as he broke through. Our quintillion years. Because of your curse, the ninth chaos cultivation fluctuated. Its great Tao world began to shatter. Hanju immediately stopped. The turbulence in his cultivation could be considered restraining his cultivation progress, right? Hanju was worried that the chaos would be destroyed if he continued cursing. He put away the Book of Misfortune and looked up. He saw cracks appear at the edge of the chaos. They were dense and looked like a sinister long worm twisting. Not only that, but many evil auras appeared at the bottom of the chaos and surged to condense into strange demons of different sizes. The mental demons. These demons were quite strong. They might really fall into despair if it was the chaos 50 million years ago. However, to the current chaos, it would at most cause a short period of turmoil. Hanju sent a voice transmission to Han Ling. Soon, she brought Han Bahen into the Taoist temple. Han Bahen knelt down and bowed respectfully upon seeing him. Hanju didn't say anything else and started to preach the Tao from the Freedom Realm. Round platforms hung under the blue sky and white clouds. More than 100 great Tao divine spirits gathered on the highest platform. The divine punishers were also here. To be precise, all the geniuses of the 10 absolutes were here. Han Huang, who was dressed in golden scales, could not hide his arrogance at all. Not only was he arrogant, but he also exuded domineering pressure. Furthermore, this kid did not hide it. The divine spirits had already noticed it before. However, over the years, Han Huang had been ruthless, causing them to not dare to provoke him. Han Huang smiled and said, "I'm fine. Don't worry. Can I prove that I'm a primordial fiend celestial now?" The ultimate god of punishment sent Hanju a dream 1,000 years after the lecture, as soon as Han Bahen left. Hanju accepted the dream and explained Han Huang's situation. After hearing it, Hanju asked the ultimate god of punishment not to dissuade him and let nature take its course. Since his son had this determination, Hanju would no longer ask Tao Sovereign to take over. Hanju looked at Tao Sovereign and the others after the dream ended. The 5 of them were very free. They traveled everywhere, as if they wanted to see every corner of the chaos and every scenery. Hanju looked at the others. Something interesting happened. Other than Han Huang, many people wanted to be the primordial fiend celestial. Zhou Fan, Huang Zuantian, Dao Sovereign, Azure Heaven Mystic, Zhao Shuangchuan, and so on. Those arrogant fellows all felt that they were the primordial fiend celestial and could withstand the great karma of ushering the great Dao immeasurable calamity. Hanju was speechless. In the past, he was a primordial fiend celestial and was afraid that others would find trouble with him. Now, he finally understood that there were actually so many people fighting for it. Hanju smiled and suddenly began to look forward to who could be recognized as the primordial fiend celestial. He did not calculate. There were fewer and fewer unknowns for him now. It was good to leave some suspense. As for danger, he was fearless in the Dao field anyway. Currently, only one person could suppress Hanju. The ninth chaos. He would be invincible as long as he surpassed the ninth chaos. Hanju closed his eyes and started cultivating. In the mysterious domain, mist filled the air and it was extremely dark. Huang Zuantian, Li Daokong, Ancestor Shitian, Shi Dudao, Jing Tiangong, and so on were all leaders of the Life faction. The Calamity Life Controller is like a curse that will always pester us. Although it's our power now, we also have to be wary of it. The leaders of the Life factions agreed. Li Daokong said that Han Huang is too powerful and is on good terms with the Northern Chaos. This is not good.